and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Wrestling's Worst Podcast, where we celebrate the utter shite that has been delivered to us in the wonderful world that is professional wrestling. My name's Dave, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, a man whose tongue is sharper than the knife that Jesus used to stab John Cena. That is one Dave Gillum, otherwise known as the Butcher. How are we doing, sir?
Wow. Wow. I'm
running out of these, you know. I'm running out of these.
I'm good, my mate. I'm good.
Good. Are you looking forward to speaking about some more WCW circa 2000?
Oh, how could I not be? You know, it was one of the great years.
It was the golden generation of wrestling, some may say. So let's have a quick recap then of where we're at. Because obviously on the last episode we finished at New Blood Rising. We've seen the new era of WCW take over, let's say, of Bischoff and Vince Russo now back in charge. So we're coming into the next pay-per-view in September of 2000, Fall Brawl. So coming off, if you're a WCW and it's still 2000, Dave, coming off the back of New Blood Rising, how are you feeling? What's your thoughts? What's your emotions?
We're in a decline. I can't put it into words, really.
That's about right. It's a
hot potato championship.
Oh, you've seen nothing yet. Well, let's move into Fall Brawl and let's see if the opinion changes. So, it is Fall Brawl 2000. It is the 17th of September. Now, Fall Brawl's attendance, we'll use this as a benchmark, right? So, for every pay-per-view going on from Fall Brawl, there was 8,638 people in attendance.
Wow.
And pay-per-view buys, it got a 0.16 buy rate. That's 75,000 homes purchased Fall Brawl 2000.
In the States.
In the States.
Wow.
So imagine what it'd be like in the UK. That would have been
that's probably less than a town.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Easily.
Do you know what I mean? You know the sheer size of towns in America, and do you know what I mean? Cities and things like that. That's terrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's terrible.
Utter dog shite. Now
you might as well have just closed the doors then.
Now coming into Fall Brawl, we have a new main eventer on the WCW scene. Scott Steiner is now getting pushed into more high-profile feuds. Obviously, he has a match with Goldberg on this pay-per-view. Scott Steiner for me, if somebody said, what do you remember about Scott Steiner? I remember the Steiner brothers. I remember the Steiner boys very, very fondly. But Scott Steiner, the WCW version of the Bleach and the Popper Pump and Freakzilla and all this,
Let's promote steroids.
Yeah, I didn't see him as main event then. I didn't see him as main event into 2003 when he come back to 2002 when he come back to WWE. And I certainly don't see him as main event in 2017. Now he's joined fucking IW.
Well. I'm going to spoil anything what's coming. I'll talk a bit about Scott Steiner. I didn't like Steiner. I didn't appreciate him. I always thought he was a bit of a bully. In and out of the ring, you know what I mean? I felt his character was very, very, very true to Scott Steiner. Very, very bitter man. I thought he was better than he actually was, you know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. You can always got that vibe from Scott Steiner that he saw himself as a Goldberg and a Stone Cold.
Yeah.
And he really wasn't. He wasn't even a fucking Ellsworth.
Life surpassed him.
But unfortunately, steroids didn't.
No.
So, Fall Brawl pay-per-view. Let's quickly run down the card. As always, we open up with the WCW Cruiserweight title. We have Elix Skipper, who is your champion coming into this, defeats Kiwi with Paisley again. So that's Kiwi, who 2 consecutive pay-per-view appearances.
Wasn't Kiwi? Wasn't he was it Lodi in the Ravens flock as well? Was he?
No. Same
was
era.
A different guy? Was it?
Yeah, same era. They all come out at Power Plant. Where you're thinking of Lodi and Lenny and Lodi or whatever they were called.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, different guy. Kiwi was a guy called Alan Funk.
Right.
He went on, I think, he was wrestling. He wrestled for TNA a little bit. Nothing amazing. He was very much of a comedic persona. He currently competes for Lucha Libre USA as Chi-Chi.
Bloody hell.
I've never heard of the promotion nor the wrestler. So, yeah.
Well, I didn't mind Skipper. And it's always like kind of bugged me. You know, how he kind of just vanished off the face of the earth. I watched a lot of him in TNA, you know, with Triple X, with Christopher Daniels, and Low Key. And if you people that are unfamiliar with, you know what I mean, are listening to this podcast now and going, Skipper was shit.
Is Skipper the one that did
go watch the guy that fucking walked the fucking cage.
Ah, so it was Skipper then, yeah.
Go watch, you know what I mean?
Cool as
go
fuck.
watch that match. I still say to this day, I have never ever in my 30 plus years of watching wrestling seen a tag team match of that quality. Never. Not Edge and Christian versus the Hardys versus the Dudleys at WrestleMania. Never.
Yeah.
America's Most Wanted versus Triple X was the best tag team I have ever seen. Ever.
So, next match. So, obviously, Elite Skipper gets the victory in that, so he's still your Cruiserweight champion. Up next, we have the Misfits in action of Corporal Cajun, Lieutenant Loco, and Sergeant AWOL, who was Chavo Guerrero, Lash LaRue, and The Wall, going up against 3 count of Shannon Moore, Evan Courageous, and Shane Helms in a 6-man tag team match. That went on for 10 minutes. That went on for 10 minutes. Up next is another gimmick match out of the brain of one Vince Russo. We have a First Blood chain match between the Harris brothers, Don and Ron, against Chronic of Brian Adams and Brian Clark. So yet again, we are having this tag team combination of big 4-7-foot behemoths.
I want to know how it took so long for someone to actually realise. It was either the fact that they're old bastards, Ron and Don Harris, or was it the fact that, actually, you know what? Funny enough, these guys actually can't fucking, you know? Which, to be honest, she probably wasn't far from the truth with fucking Chronic, you know?
I think they could wrestle a little bit more.
Brian Lee more, I think. Brian Clark wasn't bad.
Brian and Adams, do you mean?
Was it Brian Adams? Yes,
Yeah,
it was Brian Adams. Brian Lee was...
Brian Lee was the fake Undertaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian...
You know...
Brian Clark was Crush. Brian Adams was Adam Bomb, I think.
Yes. Are they both passed now?
Yeah, Adam Bomb's still alive.
You know, you just look at it and you just think, wow. I love their music.
God, well, the whole gimmick.
I love their music.
The idea, the fact that they were named after a strain of cannabis, but we'll forget about that. But the idea behind the gimmick was brilliant. But the guys playing the gimmick, I don't know.
I was more sold on Adam Bomb. You know what I mean? Clark.
With them little rockets he used to fire into the crowd.
I was more sold on him than anyone else because I just looked at the other one and I just thought, fuck, you know, you were shitting.
Crusher's first gimmick was part of Demolition. So it's somebody else's gimmick and he was just added into it. And then you had Hawaiian Crush when he was Kona Crush. Yeah. And that was bland as fuck, right?
Then you had Dark Crush.
Yeah, so then they turned Japanese Sympathizer Crush when he was running with Yokozuna.
And Mr. Fuji.
Yeah. So he had like Samoa Joe eye paint, face makeup on. And then obviously he got sent to prison. And when he came out of prison, you now had Nation of Domination Black Militant Crush.
Yeah.
The white man's keeping me down Crush.
Yeah.
And then obviously he makes the leap of faith to WCW, and you go on to see Chronic. And there's not one gimmick where Crush for me is ever impressed.
No.
And this being the worst. So moving on, our next match of the night is a singles match for the United States Heavyweight Championship with Jim Duggan as the special guest enforcer. We have Lance Storm with Major Guns, as she's deflected over to Lance Storm's Canadian group, defeats General Rection. So one Bill DeMott. So from what I vaguely remember, this is the start now of Lance Storm gathering all the mid-card titles and turning them all Canadian.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
which was a great gimmick.
I loved Storm. I loved
About
Lance
Storm.
Storm.
Storm was one of the best technical guys that ever graced a wrestling ring. It's just.
I think he was without a doubt the most successful to come over from ECW as well.
It was just boring, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, WWE is not the land where wrestling gets you over. And
No.
if it did, Lance Storm versus Chavo Guerrero would be main event in pay-per-views.
Yeah.
But Chavo Guerrero never hit the levels that his uncle did because he was crap on the mic and he had no personality.
Yeah.
So moving on, we have an elimination match of the Filthy Animals of Disco Inferno, Rey Mysterio Jr., Juventud Guerrero and Conan, and Big Vito and Paul Orndorff against the Natural Born Thrillers of Mark Jindrak, Sean O'Hare, Mike Sanders, Chuck Palumbo, Reno, and Johnny the Bull. Now, this match ended in a no contest because Paul Orndorff got injured. So what they had to do is they restarted the match the next night on Nitro with the remaining competitors who were in there when the match got called off. Fucking WCW.
That's terrible.
You just carry on, don't you? You call an audible and you carry on.
I ask a thing like, what would have happened? It was almost like they pressed pause.
Yeah, they literally
pause.
They literally
so what happened?
Pause.
What would happen if a guy was bleeding? Would they bandage him up, or would they just make sure he was bleeding again when it started?
He'd have to bleed just before we went live.
Fucking terrible, man. It says it all, doesn't it?
The next match is another gimmick match. We have a scaffold match between Shane Douglas and Billy Kidman.
Fucking hell. Scaffold match.
And Shane Douglas coming out the winner in 5 minutes.
I hate that, man.
Me and you both. Up next is an awful fucking match. It was a triple threat of, do you wear face paint? Yes, well, you're in this match. Because we have Sting against Vampiro against Great Muta. And Vampiro was joined by Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope of the Insane Clown Posse.
Fucking hell.
So if you have face paint and you're on this roster, you're getting involved in this match. And Sting obviously got the victory, because it would have been a fucking travesty if anybody else would have won. The Great Muta was one of the best, but it's not 1985 anymore.
Yeah.
Up next is a bunkhouse brawl match between Mike Awesome and Jeff Jarrett, with Mike Awesome getting the victory.
If I remember this match right, I didn't mind it. It wasn't what it should have been.
Was it just, if I remember right, because I've not seen this match, was it just a hardcore match?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't call it a hardcore.
I just felt it suited both right. Do you know what I mean? Jarrett never played nice, and Mike Awesome came from ECW, and he was just a bad man. And if he wanted to hurt you, he could have freaking really hurt you.
Oh, you're fucking not wrong. And touch on the Jarrett, one of the worst. Like, people always fault Vince McMahon because they say Vince McMahon's an egotistical maniac, and Vince McMahon is in more touch with this business than any single fucking one of us. And Vince McMahon never trusted Jeff Jarrett.
No, he didn't.
And then when Jeff Jarrett tried pulling that fast one in SummerSlam 99, saying that I'll drop the belt, but my contract's run out, so I want £250,000. Right? Do you know what I mean? And then Jeff Jarrett is one of the biggest cunts in professional wrestling, who is out for one person. For fuck me, Jeff Jarrett, he cheated with his fucking co-worker's wife, man, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett is the lowest of the low, and I hope to God TNA fucking fails because of Jeff Jarrett. I cannot stand the prick. Up next, no disqualification. Scott Steiner defeats Goldberg. This is the start of Scott Steiner's main event push.
Right. I need to go back here because I said previously I didn't like Steiner, but fuck me, did I love Steiner for doing that?
Yeah, just for beating.
I really did, because I despised Bill Goldberg. I despised every bit of his push, you know. As everyone knows, you know what I mean. I don't like guys that get a fucking silver spoon up their ass at all.
Yeah. And
You know,
Goldberg is one of the
it don't work
pinnacles.
for me, man. It's a Hulk Hogan effect. It's a John Cena effect. But no, it don't work for me.
No,
It
I'd have
doesn't
to
work
agree.
for me at all.
I have to agree.
I didn't really mind Scott Steiner, to be honest with you, as a champion. I didn't mind him because he was a bad dude. Said what he liked, did what he did, and I kind of thought, you know, as shit as it was, WCW hadn't had that sort of champion in fucking years. You know, they tried so many times, you know, to gain that sort of champion. Hulk Hogan, for instance, Hulk Hogan, even when Hulk Hogan wore the black and white of the NWO, he was still wearing the yellow and fucking red because the guy wasn't evil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was the guys behind him that were actually the brains, the intelligence. Your Kevin Nash's, your Scott Halls. They were the guys, let's be honest, that put the NWO together.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, without Kevin Nash and without freaking Scott Hall, there would never have been any NWO.
No, it wouldn't have worked.
Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't have worked.
If it was just a WCW guy that would have come out on the roster and said, "Oh, you don't know why I've come out." It worked.
Exactly.
It worked because it was Razor Ramon. When Razor Ramon debuted on Monday Nitro, it was like, what the fuck is Razor Ramon doing here?
I just felt when they put that belt on Steiner, there was a true heel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was a true heel. He was a true villain. He didn't care for the freaking audience. Do you know what I mean? The guy used to go to people in the front row and call them fat fuck. You know what I mean? The guy didn't give a shit if there was kids there or anything. He said what he wanted. And that's the type of guy I like. You know what I mean? Type of, you know, character that I like. You know what I mean? He ain't there for the fans. He's there for his paycheck, and I'm going to go home and I'm going to, you know what I mean, do what I like. You know what I mean? But it wasn't brilliant, no. Of course it wasn't. But he built Bill Goldberg. Say no more.
There you go. So our main event for the WCW World Heavyweight title in a caged heat match, which is basically a cage match with weapons. We have got Booker T defeats Kevin Nash to retain the WCW title. But the following 8 days later from Fall Brawl, Vince Russo, in a Russo's Revenge cage match, wins the WCW World title.
Fucking hell.
The following week, Vince Russo vacates the WCW World title. And later that night, Booker T wins the title back against Jeff Jarrett in, I don't even know what the match could be described as. Basically, the finish was the four corners of the ring all had boxes in them, I believe. And in one of the boxes was the WCW World title in these like a big wooden crate. Booker T pulled the wooden crate down off the pole, but the belt fell out of the box. Fell onto the floor. So Booker T then had to climb down from the middle rope, go outside the ring, pick up the belt, get back in the ring, climb back up on the middle rope, and celebrate.
Yeah.
Fucking
Scandalous.
WCW.
If it could go wrong, it went wrong.
Oh, hell yes. Hell yes. And so as it stands, coming into the next pay-per-view, which is Halloween Havoc, Booker T is still your reigning champion. I'm a bit worried now because I know, granted, we've had that little bit in between, but this is like 3 pay-per-views in a row now where Booker T is world champion. What's going on?
Yeah, the guy that kind of couldn't get a break.
Yeah, he's getting quite a break.
You can see the desperation in WCW, though, couldn't you?
Oh, it hurts. You can see
they were putting titles on guys that they in you know what I mean, in the late 90s. You know, to you know, from that 96 going all the way up to 99, you would never have ever seen them putting them sort of titles on.
No, what? Not when you had.
You just wouldn't have.
Not when you had people like Ric Flair, Sting, Lex Luger kicking around.
Exactly.
Even before
you weren't gonna do it.
Yeah, even before Nash's and Goldberg's. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It was never gonna happen. But we're running out of ideas, and if you believe Vince Russo. Vince Russo says it was his idea to obviously put the title on Booker T and that, which, if it was his idea, but if you listen to Vince Russo, everything was Russo's idea. It's hard what to believe and what not with Vince Russo sometimes.
Well, yeah.
So, Dave, our next pay-per-view, is Halloween Havoc, which was always one of my favourites of the WCW calendar because they put a bit of effort into the staging and stuff.
Yeah.
This took place on October 29th, 2000, from the MGM Grand in Paradise, Nevada. Now, we've gone down again. Buy rates. Last month, we had a .16 with 75,000. This month, it's a .15 with 70,000.
They're blaming on a power cut.
It's gone down. It's gone down. So
wow.
So this obviously tells you that people are they sick and tired of the same Russo bullshit with all these stipulation matches, or B, do they have no interest in all these new up and coming WCW guys? Because there's got to be a reason why people aren't tuning in.
You tell me, mate.
I don't know.
You tell me. You tell me. I just look at it and I just think there was nothing credible anymore in terms of guys.
Yeah, I think that was it. It was just nothing credible. Now, look at
you could see it. It was starting the back. The outspoken people were starting to speak to medias. People were falling out with people out backstage. The real talent that had left the company, and the real talent that was still with the company because they were getting paid, and had nowhere else to go, were the guys that weren't getting utilized. Your Rey Mysterios, your Dean Malenkos, your Eddie Guerreros, your Chris Benoit's, your Perry Satins, even your Stings. Sting against Vampiro.
Yeah.
Are you fucking serious?
And if you think as well, this is kind of
the icon.
Half of what we've reviewed so far has included Sting versus Vampiro or some form of that. So it's not like it was just a flash in the pan feud to try and get
any wrestling fan would have just you could have quite honestly just put the title from 1998 all the way up until when the doors shut on Sting.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have complained.
No, I
because he was credible.
Totally agree.
People that wanted to see Sting, the majority of the United States, if they did a poll tomorrow, how many people wanted to see the Stinger on telly in that period where WCW was in decline? Everyone.
Yeah. Well, especially not just on telly, in main event.
But he basically fucking they fucked the character up completely.
Well, when the Crow gimmick first came about, it was in the rafters, and you weren't quite sure was he a good guy, was he a bad guy, was he WCW, was he NWO? But kind of once that had died down, it was like now what?
Was he red and black? Was he black and white?
Yeah, it's like now what do we do with him?
They sweated the shit out of it, didn't they?
Exactly.
They killed it.
Exactly. So Halloween Havoc. So the last pay-per-view there was 8,000, just over 8,200 there. How many's at Halloween Havoc?
I would say about 5.
7,582.
That's fucking terrible.
So they've lost about
massive arena,
and it's massive. That's it. The MGM Grand is fucking huge. Yeah,
huge.
And they've filled in. I'd like to see how much of it got tapered off.
Jesus Christ! I bet you they didn't even make enough to fucking pay bills.
Well, think about all the guaranteed contracts that they've got to pay as well.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It's but let's get into the card. So we have no cruiserweight title match on the card. The match begins with a triangle tag team match for the titles. We've got the Natural Born Thrillers of Mark Jindrak and Sean O'Haire, which we've touched on was a fucking awesome tag team. They defeated the Filthy Animals of Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio against the Boogie Nights of Disco Inferno and the returning Alex Wright.
Alex Wright. That's Alex Wright.
That's Wunderkid.
Fucking Disco Inferno, bloody get Glenn Gilberti. Oh, wow. Wow.
Up next, for the hardcore title, we've got Reno, who defeated The Wall, Sergeant AWOL, in 10 minutes. I can imagine that have been a long-ass 10 minutes.
They give 10 minutes. They give 10 minutes to the hardcore title.
They give him 10 minutes to the hardcore title. Up next is a tag team match of the Misfits in Action of Lieutenant Loco and Corporal Cajun. They defeated the Perfect Event of Sean Stasiak, or Meat to everybody else, and Billy and Chuck's Chuck Palumbo. This card.
There's a lot of.
With three.